Okay, so now that you have those two bolts pulled off, the only thing now to do is lift and take out the hoses. There are, on this side, there are two hoses. One is a thick one and one is a small one. They're both right next to each other. Let me get that light. Alright, so there's the big one, and right there, can't really get the light on it, but there's a small one right there. And then in the upper corner over here, there's like a brownish tube. That one's easy to get off. It doesn't have like a clamp or anything. But you can actually just unhook the front one first, lift it out, and then get these two off. When I was doing my practice run, so before, I wasn't able to unhook this one. The little one comes out, but the big one, so I think what I'm going to do is just unhook them, except for the big one, and then just rotate the air box to hang out the side like I had the top, but on the other side. So, let me get you back on the stand. So what you do is kind of just wiggle it around, and these you kind of just pull up. It may feel like it needs more effort, but it's because these things are rubber and they squeeze around the throttle bodies. So I'm just gonna unhook the little hose here, and then like I said, I'm just gonna rotate this off to the side. See, this is the hose. I'll clip it here. This is the hose I was talking about. Hose on the other side that comes out pretty easily. And in here, you see where that white connector is? This tube will be removing. This black thing will be removing, and these plates right here, what we'll be replacing with the block offs. So the next step is to remove this white connector right here, as well as all the tubing. So, okay, so I got it off. I just kind of need to use pliers and tug, but since we're removing the motor, you need to jump this cable, which is basically just sticking a staple to connect the two ports, and then recover it with like electrical tape, and that fools the bike to thinking that it's still there, so you don't get an FI error light. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off as one unit, but over here, and then I'm going to remove that plate and that plate, and then you can just pull it right out. And yeah, so I'm going to do that. So now that all the bolts are removed, you can go ahead and pull it out. One thing, just make sure there was a little piece right here holding this cord down, and I had to disconnect this cable, but there's also this thing. So just make sure that those are unconnected and that there's nothing left to be plugged, and you can go ahead and just pull these guys right up and then out. So this is what we're getting rid of, and we're replacing it with these. So one thing to just look at is if there's any differences between these and these. Doesn't really look like there's one side has to be something and the other one doesn't. So now come back over, just give it a little inspection, you know, make sure they're the right size, which they are. And the right side didn't have anything special about the mounts like the left side did. So the right side didn't have any of those little things that the bolts had to go through. So I'll do that side first. Right now is a great time if you need to change your plugs to do so. And they're right here. So that's easy. But I don't. The bike doesn't even have 3,000 miles on it. So I'll just be putting these on and then bolting everything back up. Oh, and I forgot to mention the bolts are 5mm. So it's a little crowded for a T-handle in here. So I used a socket or a socket hex. So yeah, 5mm. Alright, as you can see, I've put block off plates on, and I've, you know, put the hardware, the little clamps and stuff back on, and I've taken the connector that went to the factory pump, and you might be able to see. So I went back into my house and I got an ordinary, I can't really say it, but an ordinary like office stapler. Before I was using like a heavy duty staple gun staple, and that wasn't really working because it was sticking out too far. So I got this one pretty much all the way in, and I recommend wrapping this in electrical tape, and then I will show you, actually I'll show you right now. See these spacers? Those are what I was talking about, fallout. So when you're reinstalling, you want to push. See, it has two clamps on the one screw. You want to push this nut over and actually start getting it threaded, both of them, before you place the throttle body or these seals back on top of those. So I'll be right back. I just need to tape that. Last step for installing pieces is coming here and getting your cap, and then you look on the air box, which is right here. So here are the throttle bodies, or the stacks, and then it's right on the right side. So what you're going to do, it's pretty simple, just kind of cap it. And that's it. You know, you might want to tape it or glue it or whatever, but I'm not that picky. So also I zip tied this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so now that you have, like I said, try to restart those threads that are on the bolts that are under here. You're going to want to start putting this thing back in. And the way you're going to do that is make sure all your hoses are reconnected as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these and just kind of wedge them down until that you can see in here. I won't be able to show you with the camera, but there's kind of like a ledge that they need to hit in order to make sure they're sitting right. Alright, all my hoses are connected. So what I like to do is I like to push down with my hand while I'm retightening the bolts that you need to look through the frame for, and that just ensures that there's a good seal between the rubber right here and the throttle bodies. So now that that's the two sides are put back in, you know, it's nice to just kind of clean this out a little bit. Just helps out your air filter. But you're going to need to reinstall this bolt right on top, which was the 10 millimeter bolt. So just put that in. And now you are ready to put this back on. Again, just check the cable, the hose right here, and make sure that this gets over everything and gets put back down. Alright, well, if you notice in that scene, I just forgot to put the air filter back in. So I just put it back in. As you can see, none of the bolts are on. Filters, make sure you put the filter back in, obviously. And then what I like to do is I do the four corners and then make sure the bolt in the centers, the screw in the center is tight, and then I add in the rest and then I tighten them all down. Make sure your connections are made and the wires are looped back through. Okay, now that I have all my bolts for my airbox on, what I'm going to do is, you know, just look around where you were, make sure all the parts that you have set aside are back on the bike, and take a little tank prop down, and I'm just going to set it there. I'm not going to bolt anything back down yet. As you can see, I still have the frame plugs uncapped. What you want to do first, before buttoning everything up, is you're going to want to start the bike. Nothing that's off the bike now needs to be on the bike for the bike to start, and you just want to make sure there's no error light popping up. So, okay, now I have the bike outside. I'm going to turn the key on. Make sure it does everything. Get the blinking light. There's no FI light right now. So what we're going to want to do, let the bike start. Blinking light's gone. No errors. Bike has not blown up yet. And just let the bike run until it gets to a high operating temperature. Give it a couple revs to try. I'll try to get away from the bike so it's not so loud. Let it rev a little, give it some revs, make sure all the, because if one of those caps pops off from the revving, you're going to want to have to put those back on. But I mean, if no arrow lights are coming up and you're revving it and it's at a high temperature, it's pretty safe to say that you've put everything back together right. So with that said, this is the Zx6R mechanic signing off. Don't forget, the other bolts are pretty simple. The two on top of the gas tank, retighten the hinge, put the caps back in the body, and then put the seat and stuff back on. Those are all pretty simple. So, hope you liked it. Rate, subscribe. Yeah, thanks for watching.